because they have to learn to live with what they've got, recognise what it is, and progress their behaviour patterns in a way that's consistent. Because when they've got this gift, it creates ego. Okay?
Yes.
It creates ego. And their experiential path, their life's journey is about working out the ego and recognise that really they should be using these skills in a humble way in service to others. And that's part of their progression, is to work out what's going on. And sometimes they don't, they crash and burn. Yeah?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really, their ego becomes so super inflated that they ostracise themselves, they can't live with themselves, and some of them turn to drugs because they can't work with what's there. But this is all part of the process. They have to work with what's there and remove the ego as much as they can do and become of service, and also sustain their own path as well. So it's part of it. It's part of their learning process they've got to go through and come out the other side.
Thank you. That's the first good definition I've heard that makes sense to me.
It's a pleasure.
Guy,
Yeah.
personal opinion is that there are a lot of, shall we call them, backfill people involved in our own government at this time.
Mm.
I'm trying to do this in a very nice way.
Non-political way.
Yeah. What actual good are they doing? Are they helping the rest of us to learn something, or are they just there to bug us?
Well, those that are backfill,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see them, they've got an alternative agenda which is not particularly spiritual.
Yeah.
They don't have the best, you know, the best intentions for those who are asking them to govern them in mind. It's more for their own self-aggrandisement and their own self-promotion. There's two things involved there. One, they're experiencing this. Some of them are the more evolved backfill individuals, by the way. Yeah, they're more evolved from their own energetic genre perspective than those other ones who are particularly aggressive. So
Yes.
clearly, there's levels of evolutionary process involved with backfill people as well. But from our perspective, from our learning, it's something in there to allow us to spot things. It's if you like, we're getting little navigation points, little milestones, little flags that come up to make us wake up and smell the coffee, so to speak, and realise that, you know, there's something wrong here, something not quite right here, and that these people aren't really what we think they are, what they seem. And so it's to make us actually become more aware and awake through seeing what's being presented in front of us, through seeing that what we're seeing is not reality, it's a theatre. It's a film, it's a show. It's a Muppet show in some cases, but it's not really real. They're things that are being put in front of us, they're little breadcrumbs that are being put in front of us that we pick up to follow the correct trail to realise that this isn't reality. Yeah? This isn't reality. This is something that's put in place for us to experience low frequency existence and help us to accelerate our evolution, although we do rest it, because this again, this evolutionary tension bit, as it were. It's there for us to help us evolve individually. And in working out that this isn't real, we start to think, okay, this isn't real, but I've still got to work with it. And so we start to realise and work with the physical work, the universal world, by being in it, but not of it. We can work with it, but realise that it's transient, it's momentary. You know, it's not going to last forever from this physical perspective. But we can and we start to realise that actually we do exist in perpetuity. We do exist forever because we're part of something much bigger. So there are all these little breadcrumbs that lead us down the road to full understanding, towards awakening, towards self-realisation, towards recognising what we truly are, which is not this bit. Is that a relief, eh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, well, yes.
Yes, you have been talking about the human ascension, and I'd like you to address the ascension of our planet, our solar system and the effect the source, how the source works through our sun and the central sun, and how that is stimulating and affecting all life on this planet. Just a small issue.
Well,
Right.
Wow.
well, actually, as we ascend, this triangulation thing, and I'm going to discuss it in much detail later, affects our environment as well. So we are caretakers of our environment in totality, not just from ourselves and the house we own and the car we work with and the local area, but our planet as well. So as we personally ascend and go move up the frequencies, we have full responsibility for giving that evolutionary condition and process to our environment around us. So as we ascend, so does the planet. Okay? So does the local part of the galaxy. So does the galaxy. So does the universe. So as we work together, we pull up our location as well. So the source has given us the opportunity to not only ascend, to progress ourselves, make ourselves evolve, but to make our environment evolve at the same time. So as we evolve, as we ascend up the frequencies, so does our environment ascend up the frequencies. Now then, notice, our environment is more frequentially stable than we are. Okay? It exists on multiple frequential levels concurrently. That is why, as we ascend up the frequencies, the place, the world, the environment, that which is around us appears to be still here, to be static. It exists in a multi-frequential condition. But the objective is to get it further up those frequencies. So although there's a bandwidth there of what we work within, and the world and the galaxies and everything else, the planets exist there, and we move up and they're still there, at some point we have to move them up as well. Yeah? So that at some point, when we get to this 12th frequency level, everything else is at the 12th frequency level as well. So that not only the planets and the galaxies and everything else, but the whole universe, with the help of the other incarnate vehicles, can move up to the next universal condition, the next frequential condition. So the source has given us responsibility to pull up the earth and everything else. And we do it by association, elevation through association. The wider aspect of collective and combined synergetic frequential ascension, which affects the individuals and the environment alike. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, partially. Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't it really a matter of evolutional consciousness as it manifests in matter? I mean, in animals, plants, that the consciousness on a low frequency requires, let's say, doesn't require much of a physical vehicle. But in a domestic animal, it allows for the expression.
As we ascend, as we affect everything else around us, as we move the frequencies, our animals, our pets, are our friends, but they're part of the ecostructure. They're a different energetic genre. When the source created us, it created us in an imperfect state, in an imperfect state. It took its afterball, basically. So not all of those energetic vehicles or energies are of the same quality. There is a hierarchy, as it were, where the energies became less dense and gave birth to entities that are of a different genre. Animals are one, plants are another, minerals are another, planets are another. The universe, the galaxies are another versions of these vehicles. So as we work with ourselves, we work with them. Those entities that are a different energetic frequency can, through association with ourselves, evolve as well. And they do evolve. But they're also part of the ecostructure. They're part of, shall I say, the film set. They're part of the film set. We work with them, they work with us, they're part of the film set. They know what the film set is. We don't. Animals are more in tune with the greater reality than we are, because they're not involved with the part of evolution that requires us to be cut off momentarily from that which we are, in truth. But when we work with them and they work with us, we can, through association, help them evolve to the point where they can jump the evolutionary genre barrier. So in some instances, some rare instances, animals or group souls, we're going to call it that, can continue to incarnate with us because they link with us sometimes, and they continue to incarnate with us. And so at some point, with myriad lives, or myriad associations in the energetic, they can jump from, for instance, the animal genre of energies to the, let's call it, energetic mankind genre of energy. So they can evolve. Now, to answer another question, will we incarnate as animals, or plants, or insects? Well, we could, because we're the top of the tree, basically. We could evolve. We could incarnate in these vehicles, but it wouldn't help us. Because the amount of evolutionary content we get from that sort of existence wouldn't be a benefit to us. Okay? And the same with animals, they could potentially incarnate as plants. And plants could incarnate as minerals. But again, it's too low down the evolutionary ladder to help them. But they can't incarnate as us unless they've made this jump. Yeah? Through continuous association with evolutionary content, with continuous association with high frequency individuals, and their own evolutionary content, they can jump the barrier. And they do jump the barrier. How many of you have got animals that you think are almost human? That's because they're almost human. They're nearly there. You've worked with them for centuries in incarnate existence, and you're pulling them up. But if you're working with animals in that way, you must be working with the environment in that way. So I mean, I don't know if it answers your question, but we are responsible for everything evolving around us, everything moving at the frequencies around us. So as we work with ourselves, we work with the solar system, the galaxy, the universe. Does it?
Yes, and the animals work with us.
And
Like
the
the whales and the
Yes.
dolphins having a very high intelligence. They're trying to tell us something.
Well, in terms of intelligence, they have contact with the greater reality. When cats, for instance, or dogs, how many times have you seen your dog suddenly look up and you go, what's up? What have they seen? And they're seeing nature spirits, for instance, elementals that are working on maintaining the environments around us. Yeah? They can see them. They communicate telepathically with each other. Trees communicate telepathically with each other around the earth. Trees communicate telepathically with those other trees that are not on this particular sphere, this planet. There are lots of trees, aspens, redwoods, for example, who are imports from other physical planets to help with the environmental structure, to accelerate the oxygen generating content, okay? To clean the atmosphere of carbon dioxide. But they're in contact with each other on this planet and their own kind on other planets because they're energetic and they're not embroiled with some of the issues of the material world. Yeah.
How do we help the backfill people descend to the animal level without our own dissension happening in the process?
We don't want them
If
to
we have
descend.
to ascend to keep moving up.
We don't want them to descend. We want them to
Oh, yes,
ascend.
we do.
We want them to ascend. We don't want them to descend. We should treat them as we treat ourselves. Yeah? We don't want them to descend. Because if we help them to descend, then the rest of energetic mankind, which is trying to ascend, which is below our evolutionary level, won't ascend. Because we won't have this critical mass. So we want them to ascend. Absolutely. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Yeah. Everything should ascend. Everything should work with the frequencies and evolve. And if we think that actually Ascension's for us only, then in that thought process we start to move down the frequency. So we have to be very careful what you think. Very careful what you think. It's a good question though, and thank you for asking it. Because actually we shouldn't compartmentalise ourselves. We should work with everything that's there. Yes, please.
I'm trying to get my head around the reasons and the advantages, and I'm sure they're there, why we are ascending along with the planet in our physical bodies. Because when we get to the higher level, we will not have physical bodies. There must be something that we're working with here that I don't quite understand yet.
Shall I give it in simple terms?
Okay.
Think of it as a game. Okay? We were given the opportunity to experience lower frequencies, okay, with individualised free will, and see what happens. And we descended. The trick is now, the game is now, to help our vehicles ascend. It's a little bit like experimentation. We're given the opportunity to work with stuff, okay, and we make mistakes, and the experiments blow up in our face, and we go backwards in our thought processes. But when we work out what went wrong, and then we can correct those mistakes and progress in our experimentation and get good results, and then work with those good results and get further good results, we start to improve our knowledge base. And this is what's happening right now. We were given this opportunity to work with the physical in a contained condition, just to experience it, yeah, just to experience it. And then we play with it and we see what's going on. Because it is, I mean, any teacher who's really in contact with the gradual reality will tell you that this is just a puppet show, a Muppet show. It's here to help us experience it all.
So they're learning with the source as well as are learning from this experience.
Yeah.
We're learning.
Correct, yeah. Yeah.
But we have to go through that process in order to not just us get the information, they need the information too.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
So as we play with our toys, yeah, and we break them, and we scratch them, and the eye and the teddy bear disappears, and those sorts of things, and sometimes it gets thrown out of the car. We have to learn to stop the car and reverse and pick the teddy bear out off the road, and repair the toy that we've broken. These are our toys. These are what we're experiencing, and eventually we get to the point where we know how to treat our toys. And we work with our toys, and our toys become nice and fresh and new. And this is what we are. And the toys, for instance, are the physical universe. And when we learn to respect our toys, and maintain our toys, and allow them to become better than they are by modification, by improvement, then we've worked out what's going on. And then we're allowed to ascend and go past the need to incarnate in physical vehicles. Because we've moved beyond the need for toys. We've matured.
Okay, thank you.
Does that help us all?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you.
Now it just sort of makes sense now.
Thank you.
Okay, my question right now too, and I've thought about this several times. We've been told, and even, I've heard Dolores Cannon say that when we have a desire and it splits, we wish we had done this, but we're doing this, that there is a fraction of us, if you wish, that really is allowed to experience that. Okay, so it's like little facets and each one is complete. Because I'm concentrating right now on this. Those other facets of me that are out learning various things that I want to learn, when does this all come together? And this knowledge then I have, at what level, at what frequency, is this going to all come together?
Okay. There's something out there called event space, which permeates everything. It permeates the origin as well. Okay? It is a function of the integral part of the structure that is the origin. It's part of the origin, is part of that which he created, the source entities is part of that which the source entities create. It's part of everything. It exists through the possible opportunity for duality, triality, quadruality, various different versions of fractal movement, if you want to call it that. Basically, it exists within us all the time. We create our own reality around us. We exist within a structure of simultaneous universes that are unchanging, that can be changed and manipulated by ourselves, but it's constantly there. It is there all of the time. This is a simultaneous condition which exists in the same space. We create around ourselves a local version of that universe, based upon our reality. That's called event space. We exist in events, not time. We exist in events. And these events exist concurrently all the time. All the time. Okay? They exist concurrently. Okay? Okay? Now, when we have a decision to make, all of the crossroads that we get to, well, there's three crossroads, you know, there's multiple crossroads, we think, well, we could go that way or go that way. Let's go that way. We think that part of us goes that way, but another aspect of us goes that way. So we split off.
Yes.
Yeah? Now our true energetic self knows this and works with this. So those aspects of our true energetic self that are projected into the various different physical forms, up to 12 of them, the Godhead in the Hindu text, yeah? Split off as well.
Yes.
So we get this myriad. So we got split off that way, and maybe this way we've got another decision to make, and we go that way. And maybe there's another decision to make, and we go that way. It's a little bit like the branches on a tree, or the roots of a tree. This is a fractal progression. It doesn't specifically go in twos, it can go in threes or fours or multiples, up to 12 I've just been told. Okay? And what that allows us to do is experience multiple things simultaneously. Okay? Now we are not aware of what those subdivided parts of us are experiencing, but our true energetic self is aware of what's going on. Okay? Now clearly there's a main line of experience, of evolution, but all these things branch up. A tree trunk if you want to call that. So what happens is we move forwards, and aspects of ourselves think that they're the only aspect. So there's an aspect of Merrill that thinks it's the only aspect. It's probably somewhere else.
It's what I'm concentrating on
Yeah,
now.
it might be in a coffee shop down in Albuquerque, for instance, or somebody might be watching a football game, yeah?
On a river cruise.
Or,
Yes.
yeah? or on another, yeah, or a river cruise, or in other aspects, another part of Merrill might be experiencing drugs, for instance.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, because we all experience the yin and the yang, you know, the positive and negative. But there is no positive and negative, there's just experience, by the way.
Yes.
But we know that. And it spreads out, but eventually we get to what I've been told to call an evolutionary dead end, okay? Where that part of experience has achieved what it's supposed to achieve, and therefore it starts to merge back into the main evolutionary path, the main evolutionary road. So whereas we might develop, in your case, 2,463 versions of yourself right now, yeah, they will start to, as they start to peter out, as they start to lose their effectiveness, as it becomes realised and that those experiences have done their job, they start to merge back into the main line, the mainstream evolutionary path. So you might, but it doesn't go in ones and twos, you get whole branches merging back at the same time. So you can go from several thousand to tens very quickly, and then go to several thousand again in the period of what we call years. So in 10 years you might go from several thousand back down to 25, for instance. But don't forget it's in multiples of twos and threes and whatever. So don't worry about how many aspects of yourself they are. It comes and goes. They sort of does that.
I'm wondering then, what I'm doing now for expanding my conscious awareness, does this go out to all those aspects to help bring in and bring this back then into the main trunk? In other words, what I'm learning and understanding now, does that help all other aspects?
It doesn't help them
It
because
doesn't?
they're experiencing a different aspect.
Okay.
It has to be a completely individualised aspect,
Okay.
otherwise it's pointless in doing it.
Okay.
What it does do is it helps the true you, the true energetic self.
Right.
So that which is truly you benefits from all these separated out bits and pieces. So these bits don't affect each other, although if you go back into the trunk, it affects the true energetic self.
Exactly. I would think you would have to.
Yeah. So indirectly it would.
Yes.
Yeah. When it all comes back into the main line and we start to assimilate our subdivided selves, it does all come back together.
Okay.
And therefore the main self does in fact
And that
appreciate.
happens basically when all that comes into.
Yeah, it's, well, that part of us, our true energetic self, is experiencing all of these things simultaneously.
Yeah.
All of our subdivisions and the experiences of our subdivisions, our fractalized selves in different event spaces, different localized universes, are all it's experiencing this concurrently. Okay?
Okay.
So it's irrespective of whether this bit converges back again, because it's reached its evolutionary finish point.
Okay. Oh,
It's
okay.
experiencing all the time.
Okay, and that can happen on other planets as well. It doesn't have to be, the experience can be anywhere
It
in
doesn't
the
have to be.
universe.
It doesn't have to be on other planets in the universe, or different frequential states within the physical universe that we would, in our condition, consider to be energetic. It could be in other parts of the energetic multiverse,
Okay.
because sometimes we don't always come down this low, or in other parts of the physical universe. We put parts of ourselves in other aspects of the energetic environments, the multiverse.
So does that continue after Ascension, or does Ascension pull all of that?
Oh, it's all part of it.
It's all
It's all part of it. Does it continue after Ascension?
Yeah.
We're continuing ascending.
Yeah, right.
There is no,
Ascension
there is
doesn't
no
stop.
after Ascension. We are continuing ascending.
When you get to that first tier of Ascension,
Yes.
you think then it isn't complete at that time.
No.
It
We continue
continues
that
on
process.
as
We
it-
can, we
as it
continue that
continues.
process,
Okay.
albeit in a more refined state.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm thinking very simplistically of,
Just one moment.
yeah,
Don't forget, we've got a big questions and answers session at the end of the two other subject matters that we're going to
Okay,
have.
okay.
So if you want a restroom break at some point, please shout up, because it will allow us to move this out of the way and move on. But yeah, please.
where,
We're doing things in reverse, aren't we? That's because there's no. That's because there's no start and finish.
Exactly. It's true.
Some of the censorship are true.
in follow up to that question about the multiple experiences, I guess it really doesn't matter that or if we say we regret we didn't do this or that, we actually did it all.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I have another question about the...
So very quickly, don't regret. It's difficult to think about this in these terms, by the way, with certain things that happen to us emotionally and close to us. Don't regret what you didn't do, that you thought you could have done with hindsight, because actually, in another event space, you did it. Okay?
Just
Think of
back-
it that way. Yeah? In another event space, you've done it. So your true energetic self has experienced that perfect scenario already.
But we're stuck with this one.
This, this particular aspect of you and me is here stuck in this particular
Yes.
event space line.
I was thinking about the long-term ascension process. And am I understanding this correctly, that the ascension of the planet and mostly the us and other civilizations, is this like an acceleration of the process?
What incarnation you mean?
Yeah, the 3D experience and all that we, as you say, we are evolving faster as souls.
Yeah.
Is it an acceleration of the entire process?
Individually, yes. Eventually. Collectively, yes. Eventually.
Okay.
Okay. I explained this a little bit in the presentation, but I'm going to explain it again to make sure we understand. We know that when we incarnate, we accelerate our own evolutionary condition, don't we? However, that's not strictly true. The end process is yes. But while we're here, we actually arrest our evolution. We hold it in stasis. Now, how do we do that? We get involved with karma. We get involved with low frequency existence, low frequency thoughts, low frequency experiences. This creates something called evolutionary tension. If during our normal progressive state, energetically we go from here to here over a certain, dare I say, time period that would happen happens normally, if when we incarnate with the intention of evolving, we will eventually bypass that because we do progress ourselves. But while we're here, we stop our evolutionary process. Why? Because we involve ourselves with low frequency existence. But what happens is, the more we involve ourselves with low frequency existence, the more we stop this natural evolutionary condition happening. And it creates tension, evolutionary tension. That part of us that's evolving wants to evolve, but it's not, it's staying where it is. So it's only when we get through this continuous association with low frequency, and the need for low frequency, and the need to reincarnate, to clear karma, to clear association, or should I say, the need to incarnate because we want to be involved in material existence. We want to taste chocolate, we want to have alcohol, we want to have expensive clothes, to be important people, to have street credibility, to be involved in crime. When we move out of these intoxicating conditions, and we start to work with the material low frequency environment, but not the of the low frequency environment, we recognise it for what it is. A film, a screen show, Muppet show. We will have then worked out the need to be here. We'll have then worked out the need to have and sweep up our karmic condition. So then, this evolutionary tension is let go. It's a bit like being on a bungee rope. Our potential evolutionary path is going forwards, but our really evolutionary path is staying here. So there's tension creating. So what happens? This bit gets catapulted over there. So we've gone further, evolutionary-wise, than we would have done had we just evolved energetically. Yeah? So it's like a catapult. Catapulting our evolutionary content over there somewhere. So whereas we may have gone from there to there, if we just used energetic evolution, we hadn't evolved by the use of low frequency or incarnate existence, but we eventually work out our karma and realise, become self-realised what we are and how we are. Our true evolutionary content will go, rather than going from there to there, will have gone from there to there. So the end game is that we do accelerate our evolutionary content. We do progress evolutionally. But to enable us to do that, we have to enter into this stasis, this potential for attraction to low frequencies, which holds us back. Do you all understand that?
Yeah.
This is something which has come to me in meditations in the last month, really. And it's a complete surprise to me that we do this. But actually, it's logical. It has to happen, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
And then too, how else would the origin learn if we didn't go through this too? That's right.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We become of supreme service by sacrificing ourselves by sacrificing our evolutionary opportunity initially, by coming here. We're rewarded later.
Right.
Yeah?
Good point.
Yeah? Think of it in terms of the Adam and Eve scenario. In the Adam and Eve scenario, they had the opportunity of eating or not eating that apple. It's a metaphoric statement for working with God or working with free will and not working with God. So we've got free will to work with God, to work with our source entity, to behave ourselves, to do what it says. Or we're given free will not to do that and have all of these different... So you eat the apple, so to speak, and you go this route. It's a very materialistic route, isn't it? It's a very materialistic route. But if you said, okay, I'll give myself to you, God, Lord, whichever way to call it, I am yours. What happens then? By giving up your individualised free will and being a servant of our source, our God, or in true essence the origin, you will be bestowed with significantly more. So you give up what would be riches beyond belief, but actually you get bigger riches beyond belief because you become one with our Creator, and you get true God status, and you have full capacity to manipulate, within certain reason, the environment. And this is why you see certain people who are renunciants, who hide themselves away from society, who are in full communication with their Creator, and they're in full command of their environment. Because they've taken the path of, I'm not going to go through this I've got total free will, thank you very much. I'm going to eat that apple, I feel hungry. You know, they go hungry, and they receive greater rewards as a result of that. Yeah? You can be great, or you can be ultimately great. You can be beyond greatness. But the thing of being the short-term fix of being great now, yeah, this instant gratification, is so intoxicating to us that we miss that we miss the other bit. We think, I want it now. Yeah?
But then that short term gives you experience and understanding that you wouldn't have
Yeah.
if you didn't
It's
do
the
that.
it's the difference between going from there to there as against going from there to there. You get that?
No, because that one that goes right up is missing the understanding of having been down here.
But-
Then they have to get it through our experiences.
Yeah.
Or
But look at it this way. If you had two pieces of paper... Can you pass me that piece of paper down?
Yeah.
You're thinking in a linear fashion. If the point A and point B is the length of this paper, okay, and we're given free will, and we go off and we go in the incarnate fashion, and we learn this stuff, yeah, it takes time.
Yeah.
And we evolve and we pass it on to our origins. If, however, we behave ourselves and we do what we're told by our source, we effectively do that and fold the two ends together. We get this knowledge instantaneously.
or you get it anyway.
Yeah, you get it anyway. Yeah? It's just you've missed the need to go along the length of this paper, because the two ends of the paper are from there to there. You want to go from there to there, but you've gone from there to there. My folding of this paper is not good, I know.
But they haven't experienced the emotion, or
They don't have to.
It is instantaneously
It's, yeah,
achieved.
immediately get it.
It's a higher frequency. When we work in higher frequencies, things happen like that. When we work in low frequencies, it's a snail thing. Oh, it's so slow.
Yes.
okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Speed and time is a man-made thing. It doesn't exist. When we choose the correct path, we warp space and time. It doesn't exist, so we go from there to there instantaneously with all the knowledge that comes with it. We tap into our source and everybody else's experiences instantaneously.
Okay.
Yeah?
Tap into it.
We tap into everything instantaneously. We don't just tap into our own stuff, we tap into everything else instantaneously. Thank you.
So why is it important for us to come here then? Or is it? Is it like you're the dumbbell you came to?
We've taken the apple. We've taken the apple route.
We
Yeah? We've taken the apple route. Yeah?
So when they say we're, so brave and we're doing all this stuff, we're really just dumbbells.
Well, we are brave. We are brave. We are brave because we've chosen to go along that way rather than that way. Yeah?
Yeah, I call it stupid.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We are where we are because we are where we are. Yeah? And whether we've gone from there to there by going down the whole length of the paper, or whether we go there to there by folding the paper together, is immaterial in real terms. We've taken free will. We've used free will to go that way rather than that way. And actually an aspect of us did go that way, didn't it?
Yes.
Didn't it?
I want to hook up with that aspect.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay.
Do we have a break?
I think we have a break. Thank you.